Buckle up, everyone, because we're diving deep into the wild world of Tether today.
That's right. We're talking about the world's biggest stablecoin, folks.
A stablecoin that's been making headlines, and not always for the right reasons.
Definitely.
So if you're into crypto, you know Tether's a big deal, right?
Huge. It's basically the dollar of the crypto world. I mean, we're talking about a market cap of like $120 billion.
Which is why everyone's freaking out about all this recent news.
Yeah, and it's a lot to unpack.
There is.
We've got Tether's latest attestation report.
Right, not a full audit.
No, not a full audit.
Which they haven't had since, like, what, 2015?
Something like that, yeah.
So already a little sus. And then there's this whole thing with Tether being used in sanctioned nations.
Yeah, the Department of Justice and the Treasury Department are really starting to take notice.
Not good.
Not good at all.
So let's start with this attestation report, right? Because I think to understand the gravity of the situation, people need to understand, like, what an attestation actually is.
Yeah, it's like a snapshot of Tether's finances at a particular moment in time.
Like a peek into their bank account, kinda, but not the whole picture.
Right. Like they're saying, here's what we have right now.
But it doesn't tell you how they got there or what might be happening behind the scenes.
Exactly, and that's why a full audit would be much more reassuring. But Tether hasn't had one of those in years.
Yes.
Now, to make things even more interesting, we've got Cantor Fitzgerald involved.
Oh, yes, the Wall Street heavy hitters.
They're acting as Tether's custodian, which basically means they're holding on to a lot of Tether's assets.
Important job.
Very important. And their CEO, Howard Lutnick, has made some pretty conflicting statements this year.
Oh, yeah, I remember this.
Back in January, he was super confident, like, Tether has all the money, no worries. Then, just a few months later, he describes Tether's portfolio as having assets in, wait for it, God-forsaken places.
God-forsaken places.
Like, what does that even mean?
Right. It sounds a little shady.
And he specifically mentioned Chinese commercial paper.
Which, let's be honest, doesn't exactly scream safe and stable.
Yeah, not exactly. And, you know, Tether has been fined before by US regulators for not being totally upfront about their reserves.
Oof, that's not a good lick.
Not at all. It just adds another layer of doubt to the whole situation.
So is Tether actually on solid ground, or are they, like, building their empire on a foundation of sand?
That's the big question, isn't it?
A question that's about to get even more complicated as we dig into this whole thing with sanctioned nations.
Buckle up. I mean, think about it. The whole idea of crypto is decentralization, right?
Right, freedom from, like, traditional financial systems and all that.
Exactly. But at the end of the day, governments and regulators, they still hold a lot of power.
Oh, absolutely.
And Tether is kind of stuck in the middle of this tug of war. Totally.
Like, imagine if the Treasury Department really decided to crack down and sanction Tether.
Okay, yeah, let's play that out. What happens?
Well, first off, any assets they have here in the U.S., they'd be frozen.
Gone.
Poof. Including those U.S. Treasury securities that they're supposedly holding.
And wouldn't that also put Cantor Fitzgerald in a really awkward position?
Oh, big time.
Because they're the ones holding all those securities.
Exactly. If Tether gets sanctioned, Cantor Fitzgerald would be, like, legally obligated to block Tether's access to them.
Oh, man. Talk about a mess.
Total chaos.
So what do you think would happen to the crypto market if, like, suddenly Tether couldn't access a huge chunk of its reserves?
Well, people would lose confidence, right?
Right?
Like, fast. Remember, the whole point of a stablecoin is that you can redeem it for, like, actual dollars whenever you want.
Right. It's supposed to be stable, like the name suggests.
Exactly. But if that redemption mechanism breaks down, even for a little bit,
Panic.
total panic. Everyone would be trying to sell their Tether, the price would plummet, and the whole crypto market could, like, spiral.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, crypto is volatile enough as it is.
That way.
This could be, like, throwing a bomb into the whole system.
So while Tether is dealing with all this, who's benefiting? Who comes out on top?
Well, you gotta look at Circle.
Circle, okay.
Their stablecoin, USDC, they're kind of looking like the good guys right now.
They're already the second largest stablecoin, aren't they?
They are, and they've been playing their cards right, especially over in Europe.
Oh, right, with that whole MiCA thing?
MiCA, exactly.
Yeah.
That's the European Union's big crypto regulation framework. Way stricter than anything we have over here.
And Circle is all over it.
Yeah, they're playing by the rules, positioning themselves as the reliable, trustworthy alternative to Tether.
Smart move.
Very smart. I mean, one company's disaster is another company's opportunity.
It's true.
And, you know, this whole thing with Tether is happening while they're trying to, like, expand beyond crypto.
Right. I mean, they're lending money to commodities traders, looking at blockchain for mineral trading, investing in, like, brain implants and AI data centers.
It's like they're building their own little empire.
Yeah. Is that smart? I mean, are they overreaching?
It's risky, for sure. Some analysts think they're spreading themselves too thin,
Yeah, I can see that.
but others think it's a strategic play to become like a major tech player, not just a stablecoin company.
Right. So they're aiming for the stars, but they're also like teetering on the edge of a cliff.
Yeah, exactly. And don't forget, this is all happening in a space that's basically the Wild West.
No rule.
No roadmap. Nobody knows how this is going to play out.
This deep dive is intense.
It is.
So just to kind of recap, we've got that attestation report, those kind of sketchy comments from the Cantor Fitzgerald CEO, and then these investigations, the threat of sanctions.
Right. We've looked at how Tether is being used in sanctioned nations, what could happen if it turns out those activities are illegal, and then Tether's whole expansion plan, the risks and the potential rewards.
But like before we wrap this all up, I want to get your big picture take on all of this. Where do you see this going? What does this mean for Tether, for crypto in general, maybe even for the whole global financial system? It's like they've built this massive thing, but on shaky ground.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. They've done incredibly well, but they've been operating in this like gray area. And now it feels like all this attention, all these investigations, it's putting the pressure on.
So what are the possible outcomes here? What could actually happen?
Well, I mean, worst case scenario, right? The DOJ finds some smoking gun.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, and they hit Tether, or maybe even their executives, with criminal charges.
That would be huge.
Massive. It could literally take Tether down. And who knows what kind of fallout that would have for the rest of the crypto world.
Okay, so that's the worst case. What about a less dramatic ending?
Well, we could see another settlement, like what's happened before.
Right. Tether's been fined a few times already.
Exactly. So maybe they pay a big fine, agree to some stricter rules, maybe finally do a real audit of their reserves.
That feels like the most likely scenario.
It's possible, but even a settlement, that's still a big deal.
Yeah, for sure.
It means more scrutiny, more transparency, maybe even limits on where Tether can operate.
And what about the Treasury Department? Like, are they actually going to sanction Tether?
That's the big unknown. I mean, they've got a tough decision to make.
Yeah, I can see that.
On the one hand, they want to stop any bad stuff that's happening, right?
Of course.
But on the other hand, Tether's a major player. Sanctioning them could really shake things up, not just for crypto, but for the whole financial system.
So even if Tether makes it through all of this, it sounds like things are going to be different.
Oh yeah, no doubt. This whole thing is a wake-up call for everybody in crypto. Transparency, regulations, responsibility, all that stuff, it's going to be front and center from now on.
So for all of you listening out there, if you're holding Tether, this is the time to pay attention.
Absolutely. Do your research, stay informed, and be ready for anything.
And if you're thinking about investing in Tether, or any stablecoin really, do your homework, understand the risks. This whole situation is a reminder that crypto is still the Wild West out there.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential, but also a lot of unknowns.
So we've gone deep on Tether's rise, the controversies they're facing, the investigations, the potential sanctions, the whole shebang. It's a story that's still developing, and it has the power to change the game.
It's a reminder that we're all still figuring this crypto thing out.
Stay curious, keep learning, and until next time, happy diving.